There are moments in history when a single object quietly unsettles everything we think we understand about the past. Not through myth, not through legend, but through cold, measurable reality. The ancient world, as we are taught, was a place of philosophy, early mathematics, and primitive machinery. Its tools were simple. Its understanding, though profound in thought, was limited in mechanism. And yet, this assumption carries a fragile certainty. Because what if, hidden beneath layers of time, there existed something that did not belong to that narrative? Something precise, something mechanical, something that seems to anticipate a future that had not yet arrived. What if an object, built over 2,000 years ago, could predict celestial events with an accuracy that would not be seen again for more than a millennium? This is not speculation. This is not exaggeration. This is metal, corroded by salt water, recovered from the depths of the sea. And this is where the contradiction begins. To understand the weight of this discovery, we must return to the world as it was known. Ancient Greece, between the 2nd and 1st centuries BCE, was a civilization of remarkable intellectual achievement. Philosophers like Aristotle had mapped systems of logic. Astronomers like Hipparchus had begun to quantify the heavens, proposing models for the movement of the sun and moon. Yet, despite these advancements, the tools available remained largely theoretical or observational. Mechanical engineering existed, but only in its most rudimentary forms: simple gears, water clocks, and basic automata. The accepted narrative is clear. Complex mechanical computation, devices capable of modeling astronomical cycles, belongs to a much later era. Medieval Europe, the Islamic Golden Age, and eventually the Renaissance would give rise to intricate clockwork and precision instruments. Before that, such complexity was not thought possible. But here is the unsettling part. Beneath the surface of the Aegean Sea, near the small Greek island of Antikythera, something waited, something that did not fit. In the spring of 1901, a group of sponge divers, seeking refuge from a storm, descended into the waters off Antikythera's rocky coast. What they encountered was not a natural formation, but the scattered remains of an ancient shipwreck. Bronze statues lay among amphorae, marble figures rested on the seabed, and fragments of a once grand cargo were strewn across the ocean floor. The ship itself, dating back to around 60 BCE, had long since decayed, leaving only its contents as silent witnesses to its journey. Among these artifacts was a lump of corroded bronze, unremarkable at first glance. It was encrusted with marine deposits, its surface fractured and uneven. It did not resemble a statue, nor did it carry the artistic elegance of the other recovered items. For years, it remained overlooked, stored among other fragments in the National Archaeological Museum in Athens. And yet, within that corroded mass, something extraordinary was hidden. As the fragments began to dry and crack, internal structures revealed themselves: gears, not one or two but dozens, interlocking, finely cut, arranged with a precision that seemed impossible for its time. This was not decoration. This was mechanism. History does not break easily, but here it bends. Further examination revealed inscriptions, Greek text, etched into the metal, referencing cycles of time and celestial events. As researchers painstakingly studied the fragments, reconstructing their arrangement, a picture began to emerge. This was not a simple device. It was a machine designed to model the movements of the heavens. The Antikythera Mechanism, as it would come to be known, dates to approximately 100 BCE. It consists of at least 30 bronze gears, though the original number may have been higher. These gears vary in size and tooth count, carefully engineered to represent specific astronomical cycles. The device itself was housed within a wooden case, roughly the size of a shoebox, with dials on its exterior. On its front face, a circular dial displayed the zodiac and the calendar year. A system of gears translated rotational input, likely from a hand crank, into the movement of pointers that tracked the position of the sun and moon across the sky. But it did not stop there. On the back of the device, two spiral dials revealed something even more intricate. One represented the Metonic cycle, a 19-year period after which the phases of the moon repeat on the same days of the year. Another tracked the Saros cycle used to predict solar and lunar eclipses. These are not simple observations. They are long-term astronomical patterns, requiring careful calculation and precise modeling. And this is where the tension deepens, because such calculations imply not only knowledge, but the ability to encode that knowledge mechanically. Each gear ratio corresponds to a known astronomical period. Each rotation translates into a prediction. This is, in essence, an analog computer, an object that processes information through physical movement. But here is the contradiction. No other device of comparable complexity is known from this period. Nothing in the archaeological record suggests a gradual development toward such a machine. It appears fully formed in the 1st century BCE and then disappears. This absence raises questions that are difficult to answer. Mainstream scholarship offers a measured explanation. The mechanism is often attributed to the Hellenistic tradition of engineering, possibly linked to figures like Archimedes or his successors. Ancient texts do describe complex devices, planetary models, water-powered mechanisms, and automated systems. It is possible that the Antikythera Mechanism represents the peak of a technological tradition that has otherwise been lost to time. This interpretation is grounded in evidence, but it is not without its challenges. If such devices were known, where are the others? Why do we not find similar mechanisms in other sites, other shipwrecks, other collections? Some researchers suggest that the rarity of such devices reflects their value. These were not common tools, but specialized instruments, perhaps commissioned by wealthy patrons or used by elite scholars. Their scarcity, then, is not surprising. Others propose that the knowledge required to build such machines may have been more widespread than the surviving evidence suggests. The destruction of libraries, the loss of texts, and the fragility of mechanical materials could have erased much of this technological history. And yet, the silence remains. Alternative interpretations, while more cautious, explore the possibility that the mechanism represents an isolated achievement, a singular convergence of knowledge and craftsmanship that was not widely replicated. Not a lost industry, but a rare innovation. It is important to remain grounded. There is no credible evidence to suggest anything beyond human ingenuity. No external influence, no advanced civilization hidden from history. The mechanism is a product of its time. But its existence challenges the limits we have placed on that time. Because this is not myth. This is bronze, cut and shaped with deliberate intent. This is mathematics translated into motion. This is the sky reduced to gears. Modern imaging techniques, including X-ray tomography, have allowed researchers to peer inside the fragments without disturbing them. These scans have revealed even more complexity. Hidden inscriptions, additional gears, and refinements in design that were not visible before. The level of detail suggests not a prototype, but a mature technology. And still, the question lingers. Why here? Why then? And why does it vanish? There is a quiet unease in confronting objects like the Antikythera Mechanism. Not because they defy explanation, but because they expose the fragility of our historical assumptions. We construct timelines, categorize progress, and define eras by their capabilities. But sometimes a single artifact resists those boundaries. It does not rewrite history, but it forces us to reconsider how complete our understanding truly is. As we look at the corroded fragments today, preserved behind glass, they do not appear extraordinary. They are small, fragmented, incomplete, and yet, within them lies a complexity that echoes across centuries. The mechanism does not speak. It does not reveal its makers, its purpose beyond function, or the full extent of its context. It offers only what it is, a machine built in a time when such machines were not supposed to exist. And so we are left with a quiet, persistent thought. Perhaps history is not a straight line, but a landscape with peaks and valleys. Moments of brilliance rising unexpectedly, only to fade and be forgotten. Perhaps what we see as progress is not always continuous, but intermittent. The Antikythera Mechanism does not demand a conclusion. It does not insist on a narrative. It simply exists as evidence that the past may have been more complex than we allow. And in that realization, there is a subtle shift. Because if such precision once existed, unnoticed for centuries beneath the sea, what else might remain hidden? Not lost, but simply waiting to be understood. History does not break easily, but sometimes, in rare and silent ways, it bends just enough to remind us that certainty is never absolute.